Welcome in, Loons fans, to another edition of the Matchday preview. Jonathan Harrison here, joined once again by Manny Lagos. Manny, it's been a bit of a process getting to this eventual recording. We've had a guest drop out. He'll be in next week. We'll get there. But just me and you today. A lot to talk about for the Loons. Couple games against Liga MX sides over the past couple days. And we've got a game against Colorado back into league action coming up at the weekend. How are you doing with all this action that we've had over the last week or so?
I might need you to carry the show. It's hot outside. I had you texting me at the Club America game, and I was there. And I got to be honest with you. Like, I'm gonna get ready for the show, but
Mhm.
we haven't had a lot of shows where you're just need to get up for it because it was a tough night last night, and this soccer is a tough sport. It's
Yeah.
hard. Soccer is hard. Sometimes it can be cruel. So um, I'm gonna just let you know that I think you'll carry the show. So
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Tough loss last night. Knocks the Loons out of Leagues Cup action. There's one of the four trophies they're still in contention for gone. So now it's just down to three with Supporter Shield, Open Cup, and MLS Cup in the playoffs. So still three trophies up for grabs for the Loons later this season, and we'll get to all those when we get to them. But plenty to discuss here. Let's jump into the Leagues Cup action. We'll get to the Loons in a second in their games, but there's been a lot going on, and I think I want to start off with maybe the best goal I've seen in a very, very long time, and one of the best performances I've seen in a very long time. Seattle 7-0 over, I'm trying to remember the opponent at the time, but a
it
7-0
was
win.
Cruz Azul.
Cruz Azul. So
Good point.
it was a massive opponent. That's who it was. 7-0, but the seventh goal, Pedro de la Vega with the goal of the year across world soccer, I want to say, because that was an incredible goal, a 40-yard cross to him, and he just volleys it from outside the box, doesn't even let it hit the ground, just straight volleys it into the back of the net on the opposite side. What an incredible goal. What an incredible performance overall by Seattle. All seven goals in the second half, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I would even say if anybody's out there, go watch some of the slow mo videos. There's some really cool videos of
Oh,
just the technique that Roldan has to switch the ball and just seeing how he puts it perfectly, and you're like, gosh, that's a crazy good ball. And then how De La Vega just literally kind of opens up his hips, and you're like, nah, he's not going to try that. He's just going to knock it across the back, and next thing you know, it's just a thing of beauty. Like everything about it was gorgeous, and it's so hard to do. Left hit their players stunned, left Cruz Azul players stunned. Kind of capped off for a crowd. Probably one of the more special nights in Seattle Sounders history.
yeah, I remember kind of tuning into that game because that one happened, I believe, after the Loons Club America game. So I remember seeing, if I'm remembering my timelines correctly, there's been a lot going on over the past week.
A lot of soccer. A lot of soccer.
Celebrated anniversary over the weekend, so had
Hey,
that on top of,
congratulations!
thank you,
Nice.
11 years. We
All
got
right.
we went to a restaurant. We went to a nice restaurant, and one of the waiters comes up to us. How many years you guys been married? And we go, and my wife says 11, and he looks at us, he says, no way. 11? You guys look too young to be 11. I'm like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll take that compliment when I can get it.
Easy,
Um,
young buck. I'm going on 25 this year, so
congrats.
thank you.
Congrats. But back to the action, back to the soccer action. Plenty to discuss there. That was one of the more impressive performances. I remember looking at that scoreline and seeing like 4 or 5-0. I'm like, this has got to be an error on some of these soccer or these score tracking websites, because there's no way Seattle is running roughshod over Cruz Azul, one of the better teams in Liga MX, that much. They tune in, flip over to Apple TV, flip on the game, and it's correct. And they really manhandled Cruz Azul in one of the better performances you'll ever see. As
Can
we,
I say? Can you correct me if I'm wrong? I think it was 0-0 halftime.
yeah, it was all
Correct me if I'm
seven of
wrong.
those goals
There was
came in the
no
second
red
half.
cards.
Yep.
That's insane. That even makes it more insane. 7 goals in 45 minutes, no red cards.
Yeah.
There's 0-0 halftime. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been a couple days and I still can't get over that result. We've still got 1 day left of phase one action. And right now it looks like these are going to be the four teams going on from each side, 14 from MLS, 14 from Liga MX. there's still some teams on the MLS side that have a chance to sneak in, but it's going to take a lot of work by them, wins and a big goal differential in those wins. But right now, it looks like Seattle, Miami, Orlando, Portland go through from MLS. Toluca, Pachuca, Tigres, and Puebla are going through on Liga MX side. Juarez has a chance, just sitting 1 point behind Tigres and Puebla. They can go through if they get a win tonight. So still still at least a spot up for grab on the Mexico side. But what are your thoughts on the four teams from each side going through and how they've played in this tournament this year?
So just go back again. Tell me why you don't think the Galaxy or Cincinnati can get there.
Right now they would need a for sure win, and they would need to overcome a big score differential if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah,
So right now Portland and Orlando are 7 points. Galaxy and Cincinnati and New York Red Bulls are all on 4 points. Right now, the goal differential for Portland is +5. The goal differential for Orlando is +6. And again, I'm doing this math on the fly, so excuse me if I'm wrong on this. Galaxy score differential is only +3, Cincinnati +1, and then New York +1. So they would need significant wins against their opponents tonight to go through, because they would be on the same amount of points, and I believe goal differential is the next tiebreaker.
yeah, it's goal differential and goals for.
So they would need big wins tonight to go through. Not
Yeah,
just normal wins, but they would have to run their opponents out of the building to go through.
yeah, but essentially that means Galaxy only need to win 2-0. I think that's doable.
Who are they playing again?
I don't know who they're playing, but a 2-0 win is doable. I
Let's
mean,
see.
so I'm gonna throw that one out there and say that I think
Galaxy are playing Santos Laguna tonight
I
at the
think
time of recording.
I think that's doable.
And I believe they are eliminated, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, they haven't won a game, and they've already been eliminated. They haven't even scored a goal. They've been outscored two
Galaxy
goals
is
to none.
+3 and the Portland's +5, but Galaxy, if they score two, then they have more goals for. So a win by 2 goals, they go through. I think they're going to do that.
You
So
think they can do that? You think
yeah,
they can knock Portland out and
yep,
at least kind of rescue some dignity for this season that's not been great for them?
yep, yep. I think Portland's really hoping for a poor Galaxy performance.
Yeah, and Santos Lagunas are probably resting a lot of their normal starters because they've already been eliminated. They're looking forward to getting back into league play at the weekend, so it might be a good chance for the Galaxy to make an upset run here and qualify on. What do you think of the four teams from Mexico that are going through?
So we've got
I guess 5 teams, because it could be Juarez going through if they can get a big win, or if they can get a win tonight.
yeah, I think
Puebla
Juarez,
is the only team that has a chance to be knocked out.
yeah, I think Juarez goes through. Um, yeah, I do.
Are you surprised it's only Tigres from the big, what, 4 or 5 from Mexico that made it through the
I am.
competition?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Cruz Azul, obviously, that Seattle game trip them up. America, between RSL and us, really tripped them up for
Hmm.
doing well. And they even had to kind of squeak a result against. Did they win that shootout against Portland? Or did they lose? No, they won. Yeah, can't remember. Long story short, yes, I'm surprised. The bigger surprise is the Juarez one for me, though. I think they've been playing some of the best soccer out of all the Mexican teams.
Yeah,
That's why I'm predicting them to go through.
yeah. It's been an interesting tournament. I've liked this format over previous years. I think it adds a little bit of a little bit different kind of stakes to each and every game. Sure, some teams were eliminated after day one, and that kind of changed their prospects of how they were going to play their rosters going forward. But I like the kind of shortening the time frame of this, not taking up so much, not taking up essentially an entire month from the league schedule, and kind of
Yeah,
moving on
I
to the
do.
knockout
I
stage
agree.
quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's made for awesome TV. I mean, I've been every night riveted to watch Mexican clubs versus MLS clubs. I think on TV it's played out unbelievable. I think in the stands, up and down. I think the ticket departments have to think about maybe promoting it a little bit more. And then I don't know about the timing of the year. I mean, I don't know if this is the best month for it. We do have a 12-month calendar, so
Yeah.
I think that's one to look at. But I think it's here to stay. It's one of those ones where you come in like, oh, no way, this is kind of getting flat. And I got to be honest, I think this is made for TV drama for the future of MLS and Liga MX.
Yeah, it's been a nice change this year for a tournament that has had its ups and downs for sure. Who's your favorite going forward into the knockout rounds? I'd imagine it's going to be one of Seattle, Miami, or Tigres, though Orlando have been putting on some pretty good performances. That goal from Ojeda yesterday was spectacular, the opening goal, I believe.
Yeah, I think from the Mexican side, you gotta give Tigres there, and I'm gonna put a dark horse in Juarez if they get through.
Although
Um,
right now, if the standings stay the way they are, the quarterfinals game will be Miami versus Tigres.
yeah, unbelievable, amazing. Um, on our side, I will say, obviously, Messi seems like he won't be fit by then, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure. It'll be interesting. It's the 18th and 19th of August, right? So he might be
yeah.
healthy by then. If he is, you got to put them as the favorite. I've been really impressed with Orlando in this tournament. Put 5 goals in the first half was unbelievable. So I think and Seattle's won 3 out of 3, but I probably would put in that order for me Miami, Orlando, then Seattle in terms of the favorites in the Mexican or in the MLS side. And the Mexican side, I go Tigres and then Juarez.
Any side from MLS, because obviously the teams on the Mexican side that kind of let everybody down, that probably let themselves down, are Monterrey, Cruz Azul, Leon, America for not going through and performing the way they did. But any side from the MLS or any club from the MLS side that kind of let you down in this tournament that you expected to be better and have better performances than they did?
Well, I think if you're looking at teams that are in form, I think you probably put Columbus in that boat, even though they say, we didn't lose. But you know what? You're up 2-0 in that first game against a
Yeah.
good side, and you didn't figure out a way to win. Um, and then I think unfortunately we're in that list. We were playing some of the best soccer in the league, and a team that I think could really have made waves against any team in the quarters and semis. So those are probably the two for me that it was a hard battle for us to maybe get out of a group of Club America, but we put ourselves in a position to do so, and then we couldn't quite get across the finish line in our last game.
Yeah, for sure. Let's use that to transition into that Club America recap. One of the best games that we've seen from Minnesota United this season. Unfortunately, it's in a loss. They couldn't find a way to hold on to the result, which is a common theme, it feels like, over the past couple months for Minnesota United. But this was I just want to start here, a very special performance. This is something you and I were texting about Saturday during the game. This was a very, very special performance from Joaquin Pereira.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's start with him individually, but let's just talk about the group.
Yeah.
We have Minnesota United representing one of the biggest clubs in this hemisphere, 50 million fans, a team that has dealt with a lot of challenges and won a lot of championships. And we walked off the field the better team.
Yeah.
We walked off the field with an individual that was the best player on the field on the night. Um, and you're right. The negative is that we still couldn't quite close out a game, similar to a couple times this year, where we're still evolving to try to become one of those elite teams in this league. I think we've got every opportunity to do it, and we showed it. And we got to keep pushing to get better.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the most frustrating part about this match is that you go back and watch that match and Minnesota were the better team from minute 1 to minute 90. They just couldn't find a way to hold on despite having the man advantage over the last couple minutes, just gave away too many chances late in that match. And a team like Club America, who have the roster that they do, who have the talent that they do, they're always going to find a way if you give them chances. And there's just one too many chances you gave away over the final minutes of that match. And unfortunately, penalty kicks came up and Club America were the better team in those moments or in that moment there. But Minnesota, fantastic on the night, just couldn't find the result, which is again, a common theme over the last couple months, Manny. I know that's been a big talking point about this club from the national media is whether they are able to, with their playing style, see out these matches. And right now, in some of these close games, they've given up a couple too many goals late in matches and seen wins turn into draws, seen draws turn into losses. Does this concern you at this point of the season that this is still a problem? This is still a thing hanging over the club at this point in the
Sure.
season?
Yeah. I think that specific thing concerns me because it definitely is a pattern where we haven't figured out a way to close out games. But I'd very quickly flip it and say, okay, remember 90% of teams in the league don't have leads to give up.
Yeah.
don't have to figure out a way to actually keep the lead. We're not getting losses in this game; we're getting ties. And ultimately, like it's one of those ones where, especially the Club America game, the bigger picture for me was the arc of the game where, sometimes people forget it's not just us on the field. You're playing like really good opponents. And to get multiple leads and lose multiple leads and still come back and play well and really push that game to where it went, is really where it's gut wrenching because we dealt with the adversity of the game. We dealt with, having multiple leads and then having to go away and figuring out how do we come back. And for the most part, we came back, and we came back so close to even scoring at the end to really see the game out. So it was gut wrenching, no doubt about it. But I got to flip it right away. At the end of the day, it was a very inspiring performance. I think everybody in Minnesota and everybody in social Minnesota United should be really proud. And ultimately, like you said, we can then go back to like, okay, let's get better at closing out games, mentally, physically, technically, tactically. After all these kind of positives, but there is a negative there that we have an opportunity with a couple months left in the season to continue to get better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's what we go into this game against Colorado the weekend, just 9 games left in the season. So plenty of time still to go, plenty of time to fix that. My last question on this before we get back to the game, with the amount of times that this has happened now, is this something that can become more of a mental thing than an actual tactical or physical thing? Is that something that can just build up in the minds of the players, or is that something that you can figure a way around and kind of work through at this point in the season?
Oh, you have to work through it. And I think it's not just mental. I think it is physical. I mean, tough games and playing for 90 minutes and running hard. I think it is tactical. Subs and guys coming in have to do their job, have to make sure they know their roles. And, individual and groups have to figure out a way to see out a game. And then as a group, mentally, particularly like, we've given up 2 set piece goals in 2 games now. That's the group. That's a mental kind of fortitude that we've been great at all year.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we get an opportunity now to work on those things to get better. And it would be stupid not to acknowledge that it's there. It is. But it's all those little things that add up that are all important. So none of them are more important than the other. They're all key cogs in terms of how you find your way to get results.
For sure. Let's go back into this match against Cruz Azul. Go back to Joaquin Perea, who was outstanding on the night. Him and Tani Oluwaseyi were just excellent in the transition moments. Tani Oluwaseyi on that first goal, kind of just bodying off the Cruz Azul defender, just giving him a big old shove and then on his way to a goal. But it was started by a really great pass by Perea, who was excellent on the night. We mentioned it before, how good he was. It's really hard to not talk about how great him and Oluwaseyi were on the night, especially in those transition moments.
Yeah, I would even say, and no disrespect to Tani, because he came out with energy and just loaded their back line and pushed us getting out and getting chances, and we defended well. We got the ball, and we were getting forward, and then we were even keeping some good possession moments. And I thought Tani's kind of work rate and guile and finishing was outstanding. But I'm going to kind of put Perea on a different level. I think this was similar to Dane last year with his 16 saves.
Yeah.
I thought he was that good. I thought his passing and he got in pockets where he didn't just play backwards. He turned and looked forward. He tore up their line. He had a shot at the post with his right foot. He just looked like, I'm the best player on the field and I want to show it. And I thought it was his best game in our jersey. And I thought his performance was similar to how good Dane was last year in Leagues Cup in that kind of history-making save performance.
Yeah, I agree with you that was his best performance in a Loons kit. This has felt like that's something that's been growing for Perea throughout the season, is these really good performances. We've seen him perform at a much higher level than we saw at the end of last year when he first joined the team and got into MLS. Kind of took a little bit to get his feet under him in Major League Soccer, but this year he's been hitting the ground running, and feels like we've been building up to one of these types of performances from Perea. And you like to see that, especially at this point of the season, Manny, where you're getting down to the final 9 games of the season. If you can build off of that and have Perea be the difference maker that he was on Saturday night, if you can get that in Major League Soccer play going down the rest of the season, he gives this team a very good chance to compete at the top, to continue to compete at the top of the West, while the other teams are making big moves, adding Youngmin Sung, adding Thomas Mueller, like Vancouver and LAFC have done. Having that difference maker, Perea, that's a really great sign going forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I really like this system. We have this box midfield where he's kind of one of our 2 10s as well. So that it's not all on him to create. It's not all on him to either solve it with his technical abilities or athletic ability. He certainly kind of has the room to grow, and he actually gives the shift defensively, which I think allows him to get that time and space because he's so committed to defending on both sides of the ball or playing on both sides of the ball. Um, and so it's exciting. Like I said, I think in this system specifically, he's done really, really well.
Yeah, for sure. What outside of Pereira's great performance, what was it for you when looking back at this game that really helped Minnesota be the better team on the night over Club America, who just felt like they were a little bit more sloppy on the ball than we've seen them be? I mean, they didn't have a great run in Leagues Cup, to be fair to them, but it just felt like they weren't all there on the night. It just felt very sloppy from them at times. They found a way to get 3 goals and come back 3 different times and then eventually get the win in penalty kicks. But it felt like, obviously, as we've talked about, Minnesota were the better team when they went in, and we talked about last week, Club America went into that match as heavy favorites, and the Loons came out really kind of showing their own quality. What did the Loons do on Saturday night that really kind of unsettled Club America?
Oh, I think it starts with what we've been really good at all year. Our structure and shape defensively is outstanding. And in this game, I thought we even did a better job than some of our other MLS games when we played like this, where once we got the ball, Tani was hungry to get in behind and push that line back. Our midfielders got a little bit early where they're shifting and defending a lot, but then as the game went on, they actually got hungry to find the ball and move the ball and really hurt Club America when they didn't have an opportunity to break us down. So I just think it was a kind of glimmer of an evolution of where this team can go, I think, in the next 2 months. Again, it's not a guarantee, but the potential in the ceiling just raised a little bit higher, knowing that we have other phases of our game outside of just defending and have that structure defensively is the only way to win a game.
Yeah. Other individual performances that kind of stuck out to me. Julian Gressel, and we can kind of transition this into the San Luis conversation as well. Julian Gressel playing the number 10, coming on late in the match against Club America, lining up as a number 10 at points, especially in the game last night, lining up or starting the game as a number 10. That's a different wrinkle than I think I expected when the transaction came through, when the acquisition happened. I expected him to kind of take over that right wing back spot and move Bangkukle Halongwane more up the field. But obviously, the coaching staff have seen something from in that number 10 role, and we know that he's been able to play the central midfielder role in his past in Major League Soccer. Him at that number 10 position, kind of alongside Joaquin Pereira there, that added a little bit different kind of spice in the attack that I think we've seen in the past from Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have a good rapport, John. We've been doing this for a long time. I want to not always be contrarian because I think you're right. I think Julian looks like and he feels very comfortable as a college player, and even in the last years, he has played center midfield. So he definitely has it in his game to play wing back and in the middle. I would say probably wants the Club America moments back because he came on when we needed to close out the game, and he's the guy that kind of got free and got the tying goal. And then certainly in the game last night, we didn't quite have the the creativeness to get that first goal, which I think would have been a totally different game yesterday. I wouldn't talk about the game last night yet. So I think for Julian, I think Eric's still trying to find and get him in spaces where he can get excited and comfortable and be an impact. And there's no doubt his passing and his ability to find people is evolved our team in a great way.
Right.
I still think he's probably soul searching a little bit about how can I make more of an impact on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, for sure. It felt like it's just a kind of popping him in different spots was the thing that I guess took me by a little bit surprise more than anything.
That's a nice reminder. Yeah, that's where he played in college, and he's had some. When you played as much as Julian, he is a very versatile player to help teams win.
Yeah, for sure. America match before we move on to the 2-0 loss last night.
No, I gave him all the. I think the other thing it was a wild one where the Club America crowd was very I thought subdued at times because of how well we played. But it did get really dicey in ways that I didn't like in terms of some of the chants. And it's the beer throwing and putting our players in danger is something the league has to figure out to protect our players. It's just you cannot do this tournament and ignore security and the safety of the players. There's fireworks going off during the game, which is clearly not should be allowed. So there was things and elements that created some more of the adversity, which I think will be good for our guys in the long run to run in terms of playing against international competitions, and even hopefully we're going to stadiums like Club America in the future and on Azteca. So that's my last thought is, I want the league to clean up some of that stuff. And the other part of it, I want our guys to get more resilient and tougher in environments that are sometimes not like the sheltered MLS environment.
Ready to join the next generation of Loons? All fans 12 and under can join Minnesota United's Kids Club. We've got 2 membership options that can get you team swag, special perks, and the chance to win some exclusive opportunities like attending MNUFC training. Visit MNUFC.com for more info. Agreed. Yeah, thinking back on that match, those were definitely the sour points for me as kind of the fan interactions with the match. Just ridiculous. Kind of soured it. And yeah, it's just something that we've seen too many times that something should be done and the leagues have to find a way a better way of handling it. All right, let's jump into this 2-0 loss last night for Minnesota. And this one started off weird for me, Manny, because knowing that you needed a win and knowing that because of how well Orlando had performed in the first half of their match an hour earlier, you knew you needed a very, very big win to have a chance to move on. And that felt like it put the Loons behind the 8 ball before the match even started, for me at least. It felt like there was already a very big uphill climb to get through to the next round because of the way Orlando had performed over the first 45 minutes of their match.
Yeah, I think this is where you might have to carry me a little bit, Jonathan, and tell me what went wrong. I thought, the staff put a lot of fresh legs out there, a lot of guys I think that they thought would be really hungry to kind of, set a tone and maybe not try to score early, but really try to get waves of attacks. And I thought the first 10, 15 minutes, we kind of had that, missed some good chances. And then we kind of got in a rhythm where, credit to San Luis, they really just started to play well defensively, started to win battles in the middle. And, it felt like we didn't react well to their kind of ability to withstand our energy and pressure. And we just, I'm a little numb about it because I'm not sure what exactly went wrong. But I certainly know that was not the performance the guys at Minnesota United usually have. And that's why it hits hard.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm asking you, what went wrong? What happened?
For me, looking back at the match and thinking back to watching and growing frustrated as the match went along, they had so much possession, which obviously is a bit of a change for Minnesota for the way this team sets up. But for me, it was the struggles creating dangerous chances with the final ball. I mean, the notes say they didn't have our first shot on target until the 76th minute. When you have 60% of possession, you have to find a way to challenge the opposition goalkeeper more. And sure, firing off 20 shots is great, but just not having a whole lot of, it felt like very dangerous chances for me, struggling to create those and getting consistency in the attack really did it for me for what went wrong last night. I don't know if you feel differently, but that's kind of where it hit me. It's watching the matches as the match was dying out and as they scored, as Atletico scored their second goal. I just kind of felt and looked back and just couldn't remember too many dangerous opportunities for the attack.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you, and you've done well to carry the show. So yeah, I think that tells me that we won possession quickly. We got the ball back quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Probably,
and they held it high up too. That was the thing, is they kept.
Yeah, we probably struggled with width, and our wide play probably wasn't good enough. Our wide play probably wasn't hungry enough to get crosses, to get one-on-one moments where they're going to go at guys, get by guys, get crosses, shots, really start to get waves of attack. So, because I thought we won a lot of the battles in the midfield, if I'm being honest. So I think probably we lost a little bit of our creativity about really pushing that width and getting in behind and then really pushing them back where they'd hopefully make a mistake in the box.
Yeah, it's for sure a disappointing result in the way the game played out. I think that's the most frustrating part for me, is that you dominated possession, you held the ball high up the field. It's just Atletico did the things that this Loons club has done to other teams, hit on the counterattack and use their slim opportunities to perfection. And they did that. And they hit on 2 goals against the run of play, it felt like, for the most part, and really made Minnesota pay for some rare mistakes in the defensive half of the field for Minnesota. So it's a disappointing end to the run for the Leagues Cup. You said you were disappointed. You might have been disappointed in how the Loons performed in Leagues Cup. 2 losses, obviously, just the 1 win. I've been thinking about it, and
Shootout loss.
Yes, for sure. Shootout loss. I've been thinking about it, and I know there may be a little bit of homer bias. I go out of this tournament knowing that you had a big 4-1 win in the first round. You went toe to toe with hands down the best team in North America. And then you kind of petered out at the end and lost 2-0 at the final game, but I think they performed well. I think they showed themselves out well for the most part up until the last game against some really good opposition, and you had your chances. You just couldn't find a way to take them in the final match. But I think the Club America performance sticks out to me, that this team really showed itself well in some really tough matches in this tournament.
Yeah, I think my glass half full. You're right. I think there was 2 of 3 games were outstanding, and that's above 50%. And I think we put ourselves in a position last night. And again, I said I was numb, but I'm there with the players. Obviously, I'm one of the former coaches here, where sometimes you just have those nights, where it just doesn't quite work, whether it's individually, collectively, whether it's the creative side. And I think we can be honest and say, okay, we got to get back to the drawing board, which I'm sure we'll start previewing Colorado for Sunday. But it's okay to say, like, all right, guys, we got to think about when we run out of ideas creatively, that we still fight through and get to halftime 0-0, so we can adjust, or we can make sure that we're in it. And I think that goal at the end of the half really hit hard, mentally, physically, and it kind of took our winds out of our sails. And it was a tough night. Like I said, there was nothing to say we're like, oh, yeah, we saw that coming. We didn't see it coming. That's kind of why I'm numb, because this is not normal what the guys have been putting out there week in and week out for the last 6-7 months.
Yeah, especially based off the previous 2 performances, where you get the 4-1 win in the first game, you go toe to toe with Club America, and then you expect to round out phase 1 with a good performance, and just kind of laid an egg, unfortunately, and just didn't work out, and you get eliminated from the competition. And if I'm being honest, I think the way this played out is probably better in the long run for the rest of the season. I know if you have a chance for a trophy, you want to win it, but with the opportunity to be there in the final and host the final of the U.S. Open Cup coming up in September, I think you want to focus on that. Obviously, you want to focus on continuing to keep pace at the top of the Western Conference, where you're just 2 points shy of San Diego, who rested their starters the past 2 games and got some rest there. You're going up against the Colorado side that's already eliminated, who have to play tonight, but they're already eliminated from Leagues Cup, so they're probably not going to play all their starters tonight, getting ready for this game on Sunday. So I think the focus on performing well in pace for a really good spot in the playoffs, and I think that's my glass half full, is that you now can just focus solely on the league and the Open Cup coming up. And
I just want to make sure, John, you're right. You're 100% right. I think it's okay for our fans. We're 1 or 2 games away from a CONCACAF qualifying position.
Yeah.
It's okay to be crabby today. It is.
For sure. Yeah.
Just because of how, and again, it's a compliment to the guys because how well they played. And the fact that we couldn't quite push through to get there and get to the quarterfinals.
For sure. Absolutely. Let's talk about Colorado coming into the week, sitting in 9th place in the Western Conference, battling it out for one of it looks like the last 2 playoff spots, one of the wild card round games in the Western Conference. It's Colorado side that clearly has big moves on their mind. Tom Bogert reporting, breaking the news over that Georgi Mihailovic, they're getting Toronto FC for 8. That's a big move, a big call for a Colorado side that have needed him quite often this season and over the past year and a half. 9 goals, 6 assists on the season for Mihailovic. And yeah, sure, he wanted to go. So really can't force anybody to stay. Yeah, they have a contract, but if he doesn't want to play, he's not going to play. And that's a big loss for them going forward, because he's been so good for them in transition and especially on set pieces. He's been incredible for them on set pieces, but he's their best goal creator by far this season, and that's going to be a big loss for Toronto going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about breaking news, so still TBD whether it's 100% official, but
Mhm.
it definitely is. If we're previewing the game, you're talking about probably their most influential player, their most creative player. A lot of the game goes through him. A lot of the tempo dictation goes through him. So um, it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup Colorado has Sunday against. You said they play tonight as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, they're in action tonight, but they're already eliminated. So they're
Yeah,
playing Cruz Azul tonight, but they're already eliminated. So they're probably not going to, both those teams are already eliminated. So good seats still available, probably.
yeah. That's big news, breaking news. Well done on the show to give it. It
That was
is
Tom Bogert a couple days ago. I think on Monday, I
okay.
believe he
Okay.
broke that.
Well,
But yeah,
either way, breaking news for me, and it is a big deal. If he's not on the field because he is that kind of important player for them, and it's clear that from a league perspective, Toronto's throwing some intentions of maybe trying to solve some of their challenges internally now, as opposed to like the last couple of years they try to solve it externally in terms of bringing in high level talent.
hmm
Uh, and credit to Jordy, he's done a great job for Colorado. He's shown the league that he is one of the better players and players that's very valuable because he does create chances, goal creating chances, and he's outstanding in set pieces.
and it's a big money move for Toronto for a guy that seems like he actually wants to be there for once instead of guys that they're just paying a lot of money to be there.
Yeah,
So this is a big move for Toronto. Even bigger move for Colorado, who lose a very key piece in their attack. So you said a lot of their offense goes through him. So now who takes up that mantle for Colorado? It's a very interesting dilemma for their head coach Chris Armas to figure out on the fly here at this point of the season, where they're still battling to try and secure a playoff spot at this point.
yeah, it'll be really interesting. Obviously, Navarro is somebody who has scored a lot of goals for them, makes an impact. He's always a danger out there. We've seen him quite a bit now, and every month it seems like he's getting more kind of adjusted in MLS and making more of an impact. So I'm sure they're going to lean on him a lot more now. Have been with the club for a little while now, and
Mhm.
he has produced. So they got a quick fast forward in Yapi, who I think has caused us problems in the past as well. And they've got some tidy midfielders that move the ball well. They really don't have right now a player in the roster like Mihailovic, though. So it'll be interesting to see how they set up against us and what their game and tactic plans are if he's not on the field.
Yeah, they'll have they signed Rob Holding.
Yep.
So that's a big move for them. Former Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, Arsenal player that he'll join their squad. That'll be an interesting addition for them. As you said, Rafael Navarro, he'll probably take up the mantle of key attacker for them. Already 9 goals, 1 assist on the season for him. We'll see how he adjusts without a key playmaker behind him. But as we've talked about goalkeepers quite a bit, and especially U.S. men's national team goalkeepers, Zach Steffen in net for them. He gets talked about a lot. He's been talked about a lot this season as having a bounce back season. He's got a 72.8 save percentage. He's given up 22 goals in 14 games this season. Your thoughts on what you've seen from Zach Steffen this season? Whether if I remember correctly, he was originally called into the Gold Cup squad, but due to an injury, couldn't make the team for the Gold Cup in June. What have your thoughts been on his play this season? 4 clean sheets on the season, and whether he should be in that mix to be on the US's roster come next season or come next year for the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely a big name player, and obviously, the arc of his career. I felt like he's improved a lot from when he came last year, and he has dealt with some injuries this year, so it's still maybe has caught him not being quite as consistent as he wants to be. But I think he's had a bounce back year in terms of not quite being as sharp last year. He's definitely helped Colorado now become one of the teams that's pushing for a playoff spot. So happy for him. Happy he's in the U.S. national team conversation because, in all honesty, I think it's wide open in the goalkeeper position. So to me, it's going to be the hot hand over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 months of goalies. And he should be in that discussion of say, whoever's hot needs to go and goal for the World Cup.
For sure. Who else on the Colorado roster, when we're looking at it, should Loons fans keep their eye on, and Loons players, I guess, be aware of heading into this game on Sunday? Obviously, Cole Bassett's there. We've talked a little bit about him. Who else do
Is
the
Cole,
Loons?
is Cole another one that might be on the move, or is he?
I think he's staying. I think he's
Yeah,
there for
yeah,
the
he's
long term.
always good against us. He's really a
Yeah.
busy player. He kind of reminds me of Lodero in that, like, probably at the end of the game, you track his distance run, and it's one of the top 2 or 3 players in the field that day. He's not afraid to get in spots. He's not afraid to arrive late into the box to contribute. So he's always somebody that you have to keep an eye on because, again, sometimes you're like, oh, he's not that fast, but he knows where to go. He knows
Yeah.
how to like influence the game on both sides of the ball.
He's kind of, I know he's been in and around the men's or the U.S. conversation for a little while now. I hasn't been there in a little bit, but it feels like, felt like a couple years ago, he was definitely in that conversation when he made his move overseas before coming back to Colorado. But he's always been one of my favorite players on Colorado to watch, and just his ability, as you said, to make the right runs at the right time is always a dangerous player for them. This is going to be an interesting matchup. 5 p.m. kickoff for that one at Allianz Field on Apple TV and MLS Season Pass. 4:30 p.m. pre-match show with Dan Terra and myself on
Sunday
15
matchup.
ESPN. Sunday matchup. I love these Sunday matchups. Gives me
Yes.
the Saturday night off to watch the rest of the league.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm excited. What time's kickoff?
5 p.m. for that one. 4:30 pre-match show with Dan Terra and myself.
What's our
on
weather
Score
look
North.
like? I know the next couple of days it's crazy hot.
It's crazy hot the next couple of days. We're supposed to have rain Friday night into Saturday, but then I think Sunday is clear. Going to be a little bit cooler, but I still think in the 80s for that one, if I'm
Yeah,
remembering.
especially for the 5 o'clock kickoff. We'll have a lot of sun then. Yeah, listen, big game. You kind of alluded to it, and I was like, oh, we can still be crabby about last night. I totally agree that I thought it was overall, again, the club for 3 games reps themselves outstanding. And even when we don't have a great game, I thought it was an exciting second half, and we did play as hard as we could to the final whistle. We just couldn't find solutions. And I do think this group will pick themselves back up, and it's a massive couple months. We're right in the thick of it. You're talking about a team in Colorado that we've got them twice now, right? We haven't played them yet this year.
Yeah,
So
we haven't played them yet. Yeah, we'll play them
great
twice over the next couple
opportunity
months.
to in some ways say it's a 6 point game now, and it'll be a 6 point game when we go back to Colorado. So it's a big one. It's a big one, not only for that specific thing, but I think it's a big one for how we respond after losses. And we have done a great job this year of really putting a team on the field and getting hungry to say that wasn't us. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited because this group has responded a little bit like I talked about how well we responded within the Club America game. From game to game this year, when we've had a result that we are disappointed with, we tend to come back and be really sharp.
Yeah, and on just looking forward for the rest of the season, setting a marker, setting a tone for the last 9 games of the regular season, for the U.S. Open Cup run, hosting Austin coming up in September, setting the tone, and we saw how much this late run after Leagues Cup was important for the Loons last season. Can you make that now, coming into this run in third place, just 2 points out of the first place spot in the Western Conference? Can you make that and make a similar run as you did last season, put together the similar results, and really solidify yourself at the top of the Western Conference when you've got Seattle, Portland, LAFC trying to knock down the door to get into that top 3 conversation? Can you knock down the door to get in the top spot in the West? This is a big match to set the tone for the rest of the season for Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at our schedule. So we've got 2 home games in a row, 3 of the next 4 at home. Massive. They all.
Yeah.
So, and I just think, obviously, us making sure that we are sharp and hungry to get 3 points this weekend. And then we got a great battle, Western Conference against Seattle coming up, that they're going to be flying high because they're starting to play some soccer that they want to show that they want to like go up the West. So it's a big homestand for us. There's no doubt about it.
That's a Seattle side, if I'm remembering the scheduling correctly for Leagues Cup, since they've qualified on the next round. They'll have the Leagues Cup game the next or a couple days after that Minnesota or the game against Minnesota. So yeah, again, tone setter of a match this weekend for Minnesota. They'll need to come out flying against a Colorado side that is trying to hang on to one of the final spots in the West for one of the final playoff spots. So I'm looking forward to this one, a big one coming up Sunday at Allianz Field, Manny. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you back at Allianz Field.
Let's go. I mean, again, I'm excited about these next 2 games. Again, I think we've had such a great run in the league, and we had a good, decent run in the Leagues Cup. And this Western Conference rival game, it's a big one. And we've always had some drama in Colorado games. I hope we don't. Behavior in the benches, if I'm being honest. So with something with Colorado, we tend to have these altercations. Hopefully, it won't be that kind of game, and hopefully, it's just a solid win for us.
Yeah, hopefully just a clean cut 90 minutes, 90-minute win for Minnesota this weekend. Looking forward to it. Loons fans, thanks for tuning in this week. Come back next week. We'll have a special guest next week, and we'll preview that Seattle game. We'll review the Colorado game. Thanks to the production staff, Grace Dearson, Kyle Hayward, Evan Antler for putting this on every week. Loons fans, we'll talk to you next week.